Welcome to DVC Alumni, where every story inspires the next. The official podcast of the Diablo Valley College Alumni Association. As we celebrate 75 years of DVC's impact on education, careers, and community, we're honored to share the incredible journeys of alumni who've transformed their time on our vibrant campus into meaningful careers, community contributions, and personal success. Each Tuesday, we spotlight DVC alumni, from first-generation graduates to entrepreneurs, educators, and leaders who share the triumphs, challenges, and pivotal moments that shaped their lives. And on Thursdays, it's Resource Thursday. We dive into the programs, departments, and services that make DVC the supportive, dynamic community it is, exploring how they serve students and how you can connect with them. Whether you're a current student, recent graduate, or longtime alum, join us as we honor DVC's legacy and discover how our past continues to inspire the future. Thank you for being part of this journey. Be sure to tune in, subscribe, and celebrate with us. DVC Alumni, where every story inspires the next. And now, join our host, Alumni Manager, Charlie Daly.
Okay, and we are live. And so let's start with having you introduce yourself.
Hi, thank you for having me. My name is Mansour. I'm an international student. I came here in the US in January 2020, obviously starting my journey at Diablo Valley College. Right now, through a lot of experience and a lot of job experience and other volunteer work and internship. I'm right now working at the city attorney's office in Oakland, in their affirmative litigation division. And it's basically, the division that takes care about the, I would say, like the public interest aspect of, city attorney's office. So, improving the quality of life for their resident, and ensuring that Oakland businesses are respecting the ordinances, and all of that. And also fighting practices that are going against the law as far as state government, federal government, or even local government like Oakland. So I'm learning so much every day. It's been only 1 month since I started this job, but I'm learning so much every day, and it just reemphasizes the fact that I would love to make this my profession and go to the legal route. So yeah.
Outstanding. That's quite a bit. Well, let's start with where did you grow up?
Yeah.
You came here in 2020, but obviously you were someplace before that. So let's talk about that a little bit.
Yeah. So I was born and raised and that's interesting, because every time someone asks me where are you from, it's always complicated to answer, because I was born and raised in France, northern France, city called it's near Lille. It's Roubaix. It's a city that is not really well known to a lot of people. And I was born and raised there for, I don't even know how long, because most of my life I spent it in Belgium, because then we moved out to Belgium. So right at the border. So if you see a map, it's literally just right at the border between northern France and Belgium. So even though I moved to Belgium for most of my elementary school, all of my education, I still pursue my education in France. Thanks to my mom, she was doing the, commuting for me back and forth in between the border. And the funny thing is that the border, literally, the only thing that was separating the two, it was a railroad. So yeah, she's been amazing, and I will talk more about, my mom as a role model, but she's been amazing. My dad also still had his doctor's office in France. So yeah, we were basically resident of Belgium, but most of my life, was in France. I only stayed home in Belgium. So
Yeah.
it's always tricky to answer this question.
So, so when you said Roubaix, I think of the Paris-Roubaix, which is a bicycle race up the cobbles.
Yeah,
And is
yeah,
that the very same one? So
yeah.
I'm at least a little bit familiar. And I had a friend of mine, as a late teenager in my 20s and stuff, and we still talk sometimes. I mean, that was a long time ago, but he grew up in Belgium, though I couldn't tell you what town it was. So
Uh-huh.
and I know part of Belgium is very French, and there's the other part of it which is certainly not.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it's beautiful country, and so that's my little. I kind of know where that is. So, but so I love the fact that there's a country. The country is divided by a railroad tracks. I think
Mhm.
that's incredible. So about your parents, it sounds like you have a lot to love about them. So
Yes, my parents are the reason why I'm here. That I had a successful educational journey as well as professional achievement because basically they were always the biggest supporter and they've been my biggest supporter ever since I was born, but especially when I obviously moved out here in the US. And for context, I came here alone. They're still in France, I mean in Belgium. Um, yeah, so my dad, he's really important for me because he taught me about hard work. Um, he grew up in a family of 14 kids, also in another city in France, and those type of neighborhood that, not the most advantageous. Unfortunately, it was his grandparents that were raising him. Um, and what I think is just so admirable is that he said I never really got that type of love from his parents. So he said, whenever I have kids, I will, make sure that, I will give down to them. And yeah, he took several odd jobs. He was always telling his high ambition of becoming a doctor and having his own practice. And the staff there, as well as like professors, like the kids or like the teacher counselor, they were like, yeah, maybe, you should, which I'm not bashing any specific profession, but they say, yeah, maybe construction work is the best route for you. And that really, stemmed from, racial biases and, systemic racism. Um, and yeah, and he was always as we grew up t telling the story to my sister and I. And yeah, he taught me resilience because he took several jobs. He worked late at night. Um, yeah, it was a packed house. Sometimes there was no electricity. So it was basically, he was telling me, he was basically under his cover with his flashlight, reading books. So yeah, and he got it. He became a doctor. He graduated. He got his degree. And then he had his own office. And he was the first black doctor in the city, I'm pretty sure. I think I remember it telling me this. And yeah, and also something I want to preface, which is obviously going to come in the situation, I think, at some point, is that in France, the educational system is so different. After high school, we don't really have an undergrad system. You directly go to, if you want to go to medical school, you go to medical school, law school, straight after high school, you can do that. My mom, she taught us. unconditional love. She came from Algeria and she immigrated from Algeria to France. Um, she did some she did some middle school, never graduated from high school. And ever since she immigrated, she met my dad, the love story. And so she decided that she was going to be a stay-at-home mom and, raise us. So I feel like that was the biggest sacrifice that she made in her life. And she's always reminding us that that's the biggest sacrifice that she did, moving here and now she's really proud of the result. You mean her two kids. So yeah, she also taught me resilience and conditional love. And still to this day, I'm talking to my parent pretty much every day. And yeah, they were the biggest reason why I pursue this journey that I still, if you would have told me uh 6 years ago that I would have done everything I'm doing right now, I would have not have believed it. So yeah.
Yeah. So, well, and I'm a big believer in life is not nearly as linear as we pretend it's going to be.
Right.
It's, I mean, I'm on my third or fourth or fifth career at least, and I had it all figured out when I was 20, and it ain't this. But I happen to absolutely love this. So it's so Freefall, you have a brother or sister or
Yeah, my sister, yeah. She
okay,
was the big sister. I was the
okay,
youngest, yeah.
okay. And okay, so what prompted you want to move here? I mean, I'm getting a little smattering of why your career path looks like it does, and so I want to absolutely talk about that some more. So
Yeah,
how did you? What was the I want to move to Pleasant Hill, California? So talk about that if you got a
yeah. So it's an interesting story. So, as I mentioned, after high school, I need to decide where I wanted to go. I always was interested in the United States as a country, but I think most of that initially was because of pop culture. And after that, it became something, something it became like a real goal because basically after high school I went through the same thing that my dad went through where I was saying to my high school teacher counselor, oh yeah, I would love to move to the US to attend UC Berkeley because that was my dream school. And they were saying, oh yeah, you should really focus on, the graduate the basically the exam we have to take at the end of the year of the yeah last term of high school. Because coming here as an international student, you have to study for the TOEFL, you have to pass all of those exams, background check, immigration stuff, and um and yeah, so I decided that I wanted to go to the US to pursue law. And the reason why in the US and not France is because I realized, and this can be like a whole conversation, but I realized that for what the impact I wanted to do, um, I would be more able to do it in the US rather than France because of, how the system is shaped between the two. And obviously the goal of mine from everything I've pursued is to help my community specifically. But again, I just love to help, all of the marginalized community and the represent community. And yeah, so I try to look for what would be the best route for me to achieve that. I learned about community college, and yeah, it was clear that it was the best way for me and my family financially, and even like for suitability. So, one of my first trip in the U.S. was actually um, going to San Francisco. I've already done my research. I was with my mom, and we at some point I it was just, a trip that we planned a long time ago. It was really a coincidence. And I said, oh, there's the city near, I mean, it's not really near San Francisco.
I know, I know.
There's a city, like we should check it out because I would love to get some more information. And the reason why DVC was because I made a lot of research and it seems like it was I think the school when it comes to high transfer of UCs. So I was like, yeah, let's just go. And at this point, I didn't really know what I wanted to do as far as major and everything because it was so new to me. The educational system is so different. And yeah, I went there. I met with a counselor. I got everything that I could about how I can achieve my path to law school here in the US. And I came home with a lot of information in my head. Um, Despite all of the things that I heard about counselor and teachers, my parents were still pushing me to say, yeah, we've been hearing that all of our life, and they told me their experience. So, I continued. I studied for the TOEFL as well as studying for my exam for graduating high school and I got in.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Well, and it's funny you talk about how it's like, oh yeah, that city really close to. And there was a young lady I talked to who came here to from Indonesia, I think it was, and she had decided her transfer school was going to be USC because it's in California, so it's right there, and not realizing that it was 500 miles away, and so it was her and her mom kind of had to go through that. So it's like, yeah, I hear that. And I get it. It's like even I have friends on the East Coast of the United States here where it's just they can't believe, and we're not the biggest state, but we're still
Yeah,
really
yeah, yeah.
big. So well, so your parents were even pushing you, hey, go to California, So you end up getting here, and if you'd like, walk us through the DVC experience.
Of course. So I came here um, at DVC, and my mom accompanied me to help me settle down. I forgot the specific name, and it's been so long since it's been a long time since I've been to DVC, but there used to be those international student housing right next to the campus. I don't know if it's
They're
still.
still there.
So yeah, so it was the best. It was just like the best head start for me because I didn't know anything about US housing. I didn't know all that works. And it was my first experience as being independent. So my mom accompanied me. She stayed with me for I think 2 weeks, I want to say. So it was great to have her around for like the first 2 weeks of like classes and everything. And yeah, I settled in. I was with one other French student, international student, and the other were from China. And yeah, I'm not good with living with people because I have my own routine. I like things a certain way. I like when people like clean up for themselves. So it was a good experience as far as living in community, but it's not it's not something that I don't think I would do again. It's not gonna be on top of my list.
Yeah, well, it probably falls under the heading of I think everybody should work in a restaurant,
Right, right,
because
right.
it's like you learn a lot about dealing with people, but it doesn't have to be something you do forever unless you fall in love with it. So
Yeah, 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 and so yeah, so I started my classes there. I was really even before COVID happened, I was isolated in a way that I know my English level was average. I was self-conscious about my accent. Uh and it kind of like prevented me from really being social with people. And yeah, so that was a thing. And then even participating in class, going to office hour, there's just so many. I was just feeling really self-cautious. And then when I felt a little bit more comfortable, then worldwide pandemic. So then I feel really, really isolated. And at that time, I also saw a lot of my housemates, yeah, housemate getting sick, flu symptom and everything. Yeah, I was like, it's time to go. It's time to move out. So I moved out to my first studio. It was really small, but that's all that I could afford. And yeah, I was in my tiny studio doing Zoom classes, not something that I envisioned for my you know, ideal that I had about going to law school in California. And yeah, and with that not being with my family, not having any physical support with me. So yeah, it's been really rough. But I pushed it through. And I don't know if it's something that you want to come back to later, but this is also where I got my first job as a student ambassador
Oh,
for
yes.
yeah, that like college. Well, I gave tours. I was working at the Welcome Center. Um, yeah, Welcome Center, giving tours to diverse, audiences. Even doing some outreach in high schools around the area. And this job fulfilled me because it was the first time as I was in the US that I felt like I belonged in this country. Because I realized, oh yeah, they're giving me an opportunity to basically represent the institution, and it seems like okay, I made it. I'm quote unquote like a part of them. So yeah, it was a really cool experience. I got to meet a lot of people and share my knowledge and my experience. So it was a really really great experience. And even my one of my supervisor for that job, we still have been in contact every time. I try to check on her, and she wrote several recommendation letter for me. So yeah, and also what I also liked about that job is I was also helping not only prospective student but also current student to register for their classes. And one thing that is really cool that they have at DVC that they don't have at UC Berkeley when you're a campus ambassador is that you can specialize in the language that you speak. So for example, I was doing um, special assistance for French speakers. So yeah, that was really cool.
Wow. Okay. So no, this is awesome. I love this, and I love your story. And it's like I'm always impressed with the courage it takes to come here to a place where maybe you don't speak the English, you don't speak the language very well, and some students show up not speaking the language at all.
Mhm.
And I had an intern some couple of decades ago who was French, from just outside of Marseille, and she spoke what would be the high school version of English, which was not much. But she did immerse in it, and she was absolutely brilliant, and so it was like I loved it. So okay, so you then transferred to UC Berkeley, right? So
Yeah.
let's talk about that. What was the process like getting there, and then what was your UC Berkeley process? What was that like?
So uh DVC, great work when it comes to transfer. Career is the career center and transfer. It's still career and transfer, right? Yeah.
Correct.
Wonderful work on that, keeping track of all of I forgot the specific name of it, but the specific classes you need to take in order to transfer and everything. That's been a big help. For to be completely honest, obviously I couldn't ask my parents or my sister or really anyone because even people that were in class with me, they were also still figuring out how they're gonna transfer to for university. So yeah, it was a really great help, especially my counselor. I And for all people listening to this that are in community college or even for your university, it's really important to at least each semester to talk to a counselor. That really helped me. Um, so I applied to all UCs, but Merced, and the reason why is because they didn't have a political science major. And a little bit more about like political science, why I chose to do political science. It's not because the standard, oh, I want to do political science because I want to go to law. Because there is something that I didn't even know about called legal studies. If I knew, I would have done that, but that was not the reason why I did that. So, political science, growing up, I always felt I didn't understand why so many people care about politics. My dad was watching those, I mean, the news and those political TV show, getting angry at the people, talking. And I was like, I don't know why people are just, they're like so passionate about it, but it's like, why? And so, I this is also the same time where I was getting more and more comfortable and knowledgeable about my own identity. And this is also when I learned about social justice. And when I realized that social justice and politics were so, um, that were like working, uh, with one another, that's where I understood the power of politics and why, yeah, everyone should care about politics because, everything is related. Um, and so, yeah, so basically, yeah, that was the tangent about political science major. I applied to all UCs. My dream was always UC Berkeley, and the reason why is because I was so impressed about their legacy when it comes to free speech. Yeah, I also toured the campus. I loved it. Um, and and yeah, so I got into UC Berkeley. It was a surprise for me, even though I had really good grade. I have really a really high GPA, good grade, but it was always that thing where it was like, okay, they get thousands of applications. It was also the time, I don't know if you remember or if you were around, but that we had this big news about Berkeley, the Berkeley area going through a housing crisis because of students. So I was also like, they're just gonna give it to the American student, like they don't get. And so yeah, I was able to, get into the school that I wanted. I'm privileged about that. There is a lot of school that, rejected me for some reason. But again, I'm a firm believer, of God, and I said it was meant to be. Um, yeah, I also got into Davis, and Santa Cruz gave me a scholarship. But I chose to go to Berkeley. And again, oh, sorry.
Oh, I was gonna say, go Bears.
Yeah, go Bears. But again, this is also something that obviously also merits another conversation about how how expensive it is here to get in higher education. And yeah, and the only thing that I miss about, and the funny thing is that whenever some people said, what do you miss about, where you're from? And I always say, first of all, my parents, then the food of my mom's food, and then the fact that I don't have to worry about going to the hospital and pay for it. So yeah.
Yeah, I'm with you on that one, and that's something I'm sure that we can talk endlessly about. But
Yeah, yeah.
so you end up at Cal, you graduate, and I'm just going to read.
Oh. Oh, you muted.
a I don't want to say a plan, but you have um you have a certain focus on all the things that you're doing. I mean, it's just amazing. The like you have you're on a mission, let's just say, and I find it amazing that somebody from somewhere else, it's this isn't it's like you came here and it's some people would think, well, it's not your fight. Why are you so passionate about this? To, and you did talk about that a little bit early on, is that it's like you got a chance to experience kind of, and your dad certainly did, your
Hmm.
father, that the injustice of of society. And so what's driving this this push for fairness?
Hmm. Well, I think it was mostly the fact that I I mean, I went through a lot of obstacles that I believe no one should have gone through, especially in the stories as far as my dad and everything. And I think my motto is in life is when I wake up, I'm asking the question, what can I do to help people? And that's kind of cheesy, but this is really something that driven toward, and even experienced that from the people around me that's saying, oh yeah, I want to go to law school to do, corporate and like business and everything. But for me, I really want to learn about, how the system works in order to hopefully make positive changes. And maybe it's going to be here in the US. Maybe, it's going to be um, in France, if unfortunately I don't get the opportunity to stay here um, to do that. But yeah, so I think it's important. I think it's important to um, do to organize and show some type of disapproval about some of the mechanics of the system. But I think it's also really important to learn about the system to make positive changes within the system, because I think that even though this is important, the bigger fight is trying to um not only improve the STEM at whatever level you hear right now, but also the fact that if everyone was to do a little bit at a time, then we might be able to change things. And again, it's just something that unfortunately people don't understand, that it's not only a US issue, but it's an issue all around the world. There's some people that have come to me and they said, "Oh, you're in France and everything. I bet it's so much better there." And we're like, "Wait, we have the same problem that you have here, but it's just more complicated to challenge that." Um, and yeah, I don't know if I answered the question. Sorry, because you
Well,
went mute. You went
you,
mute.
you, yeah,
I didn't
you
really
did
understand.
actually, yeah, you did actually answer the question to some degree. It's kind of like my wife and I every day we get up with the kind of the mindset of like, how can I be of service today?
Right.
And uh, I think you brought up a really good point, which a lot of us here in the United States tend to be very myopic. We tend to get, it's like United States, we're the only ones that have any problems. But it's still the greatest country ever. That's kind of the refrain. But you very, I think, succinctly put it. It's just like, you know what, there's problems everywhere. There's problems of inequity, there's problems of social justice and things of that nature everywhere.
Yeah.
There is not a place where it's not. And so that you are kind of made it your mission to take that and learn enough to be able to make some affect some change. And I also got to say, I greatly admire the fact that you have decided that um, uh, that it's kind of like the let's make changes local. Let's make, even if it's just incremental. I'm gonna, and that's really how anything gets better, is like little chipping away at the stone.
Yeah, yeah, and it's also even when I work, and we can also talk about that if you want. But when I worked within electoral politic, we were hearing people saying, "Oh, but I don't want to choose about two parties." But then those same people are saying, "So that's why I don't want to vote." But then, if you really want more option within, the party system, you have to, vote down, up and down the ballot in order to get more options because that's how it happens and yeah and so when I came here the first thing related to social justice that I pursued besides my degree was the court watch volunteering. Basically I was sitting in court in mostly Alameda county courts and listening to cases whatever they were arguing that day and then write um, stories about it to make the system more accountable and transparent. And it was also in the same period where there were a lot of protests that erupted for Breonna Taylor and George Floyd. And what I really liked about this experience is because it was making more transparent and the system more accountable for low profile cases. Because obviously this happened, it's not something that happens, once or twice, a month. That happens, a lot. So yeah, I think if people just, understand, this, then I think it would be easier to make changes up and down.
Cool. Um, uh, let's see. I've now I lost track of where we were going with this, but like I said, this is just a chit chat. So, I love the passion that you bring to this. Now, what do you see as like your next step? You're now working in the district attorney's office. Is that correct?
No, the city attorney's office.
Okay, the city attorney's office. I'm sorry. So you work in the city attorney's office. You can't really talk about that yet because you just got there, and anything that you're working on probably you can't really talk about anyways. But
Yeah,
where do you see your like next couple of steps? Let's say, where do you see yourself in 5 years?
5 years. So I would probably be in 5 years. So 3 years of law school. This is what I'm trying to do next. And I think I picked the right experience to prepare me for that profession. So law school is the next step. After that, obviously practice. Um, Maybe doing a lot of work to pay for for law school. And my don't really know about 5 years because the thing with me is um even though I think that any system is flawed in my law school experience and my legal journey, what I really want to do is trying to experience many part of the system. So for example, I want to be a public defender and then why not working in like the prosecutor's office? But a really big goal and ambition of mine is to become a judge. So yeah, there's just like something about the profession of, being a judge, especially I feel like we need more everywhere. We need more judges that have had background in the public sector rather than, corporate sector. And yeah, this is my big dream. This is my American dream. So yeah.
Well, I think it's terrific. I'm very excited, and I would certainly vote for you. I mean, I like the idea of approaching the idea of eventually becoming a judge with the we'll call it the doctrine of fairness. One of the things is that is years ago. I mean, a lot of times people don't necessarily like they like fair until it's done to them,
Mm,
but that usually with things where they're not getting an advantage, they don't like the scales actually to be level. I've had the good fortune to sit on a couple of juries, and I was glad I was there because that was the kind of the way we looked at it, was just like how, wait, this doesn't make any sense, or this person did it, and that was pretty much it. And they were pretty low level, and certainly nobody was pointing cameras at these folks. But those are actually very, like you said, it's like these are important journeys that people go through. Um, okay, so um, do you have any other things you want to talk about, or?
So yeah, I mean, one thing, one reason why I wanted to also do this, uh, was because I wanted that, people who may have had the same experience or same challenges, as I express here today, that, I'm free to talk, anytime. Throughout my role, I always like to help people. And even like the people's aspect of everything I undertook is something that really, drove me to where I am today. Yeah, anything I'm available for, anyone who have questions about UC Berkeley, about career wise, about politics, law. Um, yeah, I'm doing a research right now. I'm not going to talk too much about it because I think that's how research idea gets stolen. But yeah, I'm in a really great environment where I can learn from a lot of attorneys. Um, and yeah, I get to work with attorneys that wrote briefs that went on to the federal court, Supreme Court. Um, yeah, and one advice that I think I will have is for anyone pursuing education, community college, and as well as for university, is to really know what program they have. Because, for example, I was honored to do a fellowship at UC Berkeley. It was called Democracy Camp. And I was able to go through each branches of government. I visit the West Wing. I went to also other executive offices. We met with people who work in intelligence. I went to the press conference. We also met with our representative. I mean, not my representative because I'm not a citizen. But yeah, Barbara Lee. We also saw Jasmine Crockett, Hakeem Jeffries. And my best experience so far in the US is an experience that lasted, I want to say about 1 hour, is when we were able to go to the Supreme Court.
Ooh.
So, so I we went to the Supreme Court for an opinion day. They were announcing on the bench their opinion for 3 cases. And they were also admitting students to the Supreme Court bar. Um, so yeah, I just felt so many emotion within that room because I just realized I'm in the room where, Dred Scott was decided. And Brown versus Board of Education, and just seeing the justice in person is just amazing. And also one thing about me is that I'm a big nerd because when I mean, pretty much every oral argument I will hear, I will listen to them, tune in. Um, so yeah, and the basically like the moral of that is I was able to do things that I don't think I would be able to do without all of those opportunities. Because as far as my status, not being a citizen, I think there will be many things that wouldn't have been able to do without this fellowship. So yeah, talking to people, talking to students who are already there, staff, counseling, and thank you so much for doing this because I think it's really helpful. So yeah, I don't know if you have any other question. I'm free until 4. So if you really have any question, even
I
beyond 4:30, that would be.
Yeah, I think we're good. I think we've got a great visit. I've really enjoyed it. I have a few people that I think I'm gonna do an email introduction with. We have Matt Gouchard, who actually he's now semi-retired. He went to DVC back in the
Mm.
60s.
Mhm.
So that was, a long time ago, but he practiced law oh my gosh, I think it was in Belgium for a number of years. He's a citizen from here. He grew up here and he went there and practiced law, and then he came back here and he was in the prosecutor's office for a while. And now he does defense attorney, and I think he and his partner now they do divorce and things like that. But he's practiced law for a long time, and he's always willing to talk to people about what their adventure is in law and stuff like that. And there's a few other people. I mean, that's the thing about the Alumni Association is, I guess our motto should be, "Hey, I know a guy." It's just that I'd be happy to introduce you to him, and so
Yeah,
that's
I
really
love
kind of
that.
what. Yeah, and I think that's what we'll do, and also I'm going to invite you to sign up to be part of the Speakers Bureau, because I think you have a terrific story, and then that way people, from classes or clubs can reach out to you and go, hey, can you come and talk about this, and you only get to talk about the stuff you want to talk about. So I have thoroughly enjoyed this.
Me too.
I really, really appreciate you taking the time, and I look forward to hearing more about your fabulous adventures here in the United States and beyond. So,
Yeah.
yeah, and so I think we will sign off now. We'll end. Let's see. There we go. And we are done.
Thank you for tuning in to DVC Alumni, where every story inspires the next, the official podcast of the Diablo Valley College Alumni Association, celebrating 75 years of DVC's incredible impact on education, careers, and community. We hope today's episode gave you valuable insights into the journeys of our alumni and the powerful resources available at DVC. Don't forget to join us every Tuesday for inspiring alumni stories, and on Resource Thursdays, where we spotlight DVC's departments and services, showing you how they're shaping student success. Until next time, keep pushing boundaries and exploring the connections that make DVC's legacy so special. And remember, DVC Alumni, where every story inspires the next.